All right, welcome back. So we have our program reading in from the CSV file. We now want to condense all of these numbers down into basically one number for each, for the entire country. So if this is US, we actually want to add up all of these numbers. Now, while we're at it though, we probably want to keep track of like what these numbers represent. So what I want to do is I want to use a dictionary, and the idea is I'm just going to put some comments here. I want my dictionary to be structured kind of like this, where it'll be like 1/22/2020, right? So on that date there were 7 cases, right? And then on 1/23/2020, on that date there were 9 cases, and so on, right? That's kind of the idea of what I want my dictionary to look like, which means that I need to get the dates out of the file. Now the thing is, I know that the dates are starting at indexes here. That's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So starting at index 4 to the end are all of our dates essentially in this very first line, right? So I need to get the first line in this reader. And so there is a way to do that. There's a built-in function in Python called next. And if we tell it next reader, that means that the reader is going to just go to the next line, right? So I'm going to say, I'm just going to say line equals next reader, and then I'm just going to print line. I want to see if this works. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to comment this out for a second and save. And there we can see that that line is now that very first line. And so we should, because this is actually a list, we should be able to just say 4 colon, right? So because we want index 4 to the end. So there we go. So now we have a list with all of the dates in this data. And so I'm actually just going to say dates equals, right? So there we go. So dates are equal to this, right? So now I need to pair. I want to pair up the thing in this with the values in a particular line. So let's see here. I think, so let me think about how we could do that. So we know that we have all the dates, and then we know that in a particular line, let me just, I'm going to save this and run again so we can look at what's happening. So in a particular line, we have, starting at index 4, right, we have numbers here. Right, so what if we basically do the same thing we did right here? And so I'm just going to say line 4 colon. Right, in other words, I know it's the US already, and so then let's just print the numbers. Okay, cool. So now we've got the numbers. And so now I think if we just grab like the first thing from our dates, right, and that's the key to our dictionary. So I'm going to call this the data dict. It's an empty dictionary, right? Curly braces means empty dictionary. So then what we can do is we should be able to say something like, we actually probably need to build a dictionary, right? So we need to build dictionary. And what I mean by building it is we need to actually get the keys kind of initialized. Maybe build isn't the right word. Let's call it initialize dictionary. We'll initialize the dictionary. All right, so to do that, let's see here. Well, we would want to do like, well, we want to say data dict at index. Well, we want to go through every date in dates. All right, so we'll say for date in dates, data dict date equals, and we just want to start off at 0. All right, so now I think if we print data dict, right, print data dict, I'm going to comment this out for now so we can see what's happening. Then I'm expecting a bunch of zeros. There we go. All right, so we see all the dates now have 0 attached to them. Okay, so we have initializing the dictionary. So then we need to go through and if this line that we're looking at is in the US, then we want to get all of these numbers, right? And we want to increment the values in our data dictionary. So let's see here. Let's do this. Let's say for I. Let's make a new list. We'll just call it nums, and that's going to be line starting index 4 and going to the end. Right. Now, the number of things in this nums list and the number of things in dates needs to be the same. Right. And I mean, we can just look at it and see that it is, right? It starts at 4, goes to the end. Starts at 4, goes to the end. So they have to be the same. Assuming that our data is balanced or that it has everything all the way across. So we're gonna make that assumption for now. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll say for I in range, len of nums, right? And we want to take our data dict at index. Well, let's see here. At index, we need a date. So we're going to say date equals dates I. So at this date, and we're going to add on the integer value in the line, I'm sorry, in nums at index I. I think that might do it. Let's do print data dict. We might get an error here. Let's find out. Oh no, we're actually getting numbers. Cool, and check it out. Okay. Now, I'm finding that different sources that I use have different actual, like, very specific numbers for these dates. But I know from my the version of this that I already wrote, I'm getting this, I'm just at a glance, 19,100, I remember that number. So this seems to be working. Kind of messy right now. I think what we're going to do is we'll come back and we might write a couple of I don't know, functions or maybe a class to represent this data set to make it easy to work with as we get more complex. So that's going to be all for this video. So at the end of this video, you should have it printing out the number of, this is again the confirmed cases in the United States, one day after another. And so, like I say, in the next video, I think we're going to refactor this a little bit. Maybe make a class to store the data so that we can write some methods and kind of break this problem up, because we need to, the next step is we have to use this data to build a model. And then we want to use that model to try to guess future dates. And then also to visualize this model so we can see the graph. So that's what's coming up. This is actually my planned end for, well, we'll call this the end for this first day at least. So for Tuesday, if you're here, then as far as I'm concerned, you're good. You can stop now and continue on Thursday. If you want to continue on, you're more than welcome to. You can work ahead, or if you have a side project you're wanting to work on, then now is a good time to do that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.